I'm Sharon Constanson. I'm Chairman of the South African Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening and giving up your valuable personal time. But it's personal time, some of us have got too much on our hands at the moment, and personal time sometimes we are struggling with and trying to understand. And tonight, Cindy's going to be spending some time sharing with us some of her tips and tricks to cope with being yourself and with the world that we're facing today, which is very different to what we have faced last year, for example. A lot of us started 2020 thinking this is going to be the most magical year, start of a new decade. Well, I sincerely hope the rest of the decade doesn't stay the same as 2020 has been for all of us. And I think of the companies I work with and how challenging this period has been, but how well the market and the world and people have generally coped. Biggest thing we're looking at a business level is business risk that is emerging out of the fact that we are still locked up, locked away at home, working from home, not being able to travel in a business way. So businesses are starting to recognize the potential risks. Cindy's going to be talking to us about businesses, but particularly about our personal risks and how we're coping. Just a couple of housekeeping rules, please, for those of us who are joined. The chat is not active. Can I ask you to place your Q&A into the Q&A function, please? We will be posting all those questions to Cindy later on. We're going to start with an introduction from Charlotte, then Cindy's going to speak, and then we'll have Q&A from the floor. And we will be combining questions together because some of you will have questions that are of a similar nature. Please ask them as much as you can because that's when we really get to the nub of Cindy's knowledge and her experiences, and you to get the extra added value that your question is getting addressed and answered as well. So we're looking for a very interactive session once Cindy has done her initial talk. No slides, we're getting it from the person. So what might be wise for those of you who are listening is not in multiple view. If you want to do it in a single view, you'll have all Cindy for yourself. And then for those of you who are new to the chamber, please look at our website. We've got some really interesting events coming up in the near future, but I'm not going to take Cindy's time to tell you about that. No health and safety, no fire hazards. I hope you know where the front door is in your own home. So all the best to all of you. And at this point, can I hand over to Charlotte Kutsia, who is one of our EXCO members, who has been working with Cindy to build this event for you. So thanks very much, Charlotte. Over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. So warm welcome to you all and good evening, and a huge thank you to our guest speaker, Cindy Norcott, for offering up her time to talk to us all about why it's okay not to be okay. Lockdown has possibly been, for a few of us, a little bit dubious. I mean, we've all sort of been in an area where we're not sure whether we are okay, and hopefully Cindy will help us find out why it is okay not to be okay. Cindy is an award-winning businesswoman, philanthropist, best-selling author, business coach, and inspirational speaker. She is passionate about seeing people realize their potential and has made it her mission to pass on her unstoppable passion for life and business to others. Having presented more than 1,000 motivational talks to audiences around South Africa over the past 20 years, Cindy is here tonight to pass on some practical advice and inspiration to us all and to help us understand why it's okay not to be okay. Cindy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. It's really, really lovely to be chatting to you all tonight, and I really think it's a great honor. So, you know, I started off this year with great excitement. I mean, I turned 50 in the lockdown, and this was going to be my year. I had decided best year yet, you know, and every year I have a theme. And some of you might want to write notes because I'm going to share a lot of nuggets that I'd love you to put into practice. And if you see anything that might, you think maybe try this at home. Some of these things I'll say, don't try it at home. But I want to just share with you, you know, I had these ideas about this was going to be 20 I don't know how many of you felt like this, but if any of you are on social media, at the end of last year, there were all these memes going around on social media about 2019, that this was the year that cursed us. This was the year that persecuted people, and people were so glad to see the back of 2019, and they couldn't wait to see what 2020 had in store. Well, we've got more than we bargained for, I think. And You know, it's funny because I've run my own business. I have a recruitment company, which I've had for over 26 years. And I also head up a charity that I founded 16 years ago. And to be honest with you, I was just living in this space where I don't know where I was heading, but wherever I was heading, I don't think the end was going to be pretty in any way, shape, or form. I have won more awards than I have walls. I have accolades that people think are amazing. However, life is just getting faster and faster and faster. And if you're on this call, you might understand that if you picture yourself as the 18-year-old you were, we all had this lovely little suitcase for life. It was small and it was light, and we could carry it and do whatever, and we could add things in. But fast forward 20 years, and what happens is we add in the mortgage, we add in the dogs, we add in the 2.5 children, sometimes the spouse, we add in all those commitments, insurances, and all of a sudden we reach a stage where we go, oh my gosh, this load is so heavy. And the road seems a little bit steeper. And somehow every day I wake up and I think, sure. So where I was before lockdown was I was going into another year where every year I set very, very measurable goals for myself. But every time I try and make it busier and busier and busier. So if you can picture my life, the last week of the year is like a cram to get everything in that I had tried to do. Everything's got a number, everything's got a measurement. And by the end of the year, I've managed to do it. And then I start the new year. And some of us are doing this. We're living the same year over and over again. And we have the audacity to call it life. And for me, I hate to say this. I'm going to confess so many things to you. Please don't share this with other people. But I had wished sometimes that I'd have a little thing befall me, like an illness or something small, an ailment, nothing too big, but that would leave me at home for 6 weeks. I prayed about this so often. I wanted to be at home for 6 weeks where I could just say to the world, stop. I need to breathe. I need to rest. I need to be. I was so much being a human doing that I wasn't a being. I was so busy living in the future, planning ahead. Even if I was on this call, I'd be thinking of the emails I was missing. I was shoulding. I don't know if any of you do that, but it was my habit. I was living under a tyranny of shoulds. I should do this. I have to do this. I've got to do this. I even had a to-do list on the weekend. I would get road rage. Do any of you get road rage? Except I would get it in the supermarket because people would walk slowly in front of me. And I even once asked for 1-minute noodles in the shop because I thought, who's got time for 2 minutes? And then there's my daughter, her name's Hannah, but until she was 3, she thought her name was Quickly because I'd go, quickly in the car, quickly out the bath. And she'd go, yes, mom, yes, mom. So I knew something needed to change. And, you know, I reached, when lockdown happened, I actually got quite excited. I mean, I was desperate. My business was in a state. We went from having 106 vacancies that we were actively working on to about 5 in about 3 days. And it went down. We lost our pipeline. We lost our momentum. We lost our motivation. We had to start again. And I'll give you some tips on if we've got time on that. So during the lockdown, I decided, what can I do? I can add value to people. I can connect. I can do what I do best, and that's talk to people. And I started doing webinars and speaking to people. And in South Africa, I did quite a few in person as well with social distancing. But the one question I started asking people is, how are you? And so many of us have been living these lives where we've not actually been true to ourselves, where we say, I'm fine, I'm great, I'm okay. And okay, they used to say, that was reporting casualties, 0 killed. So when we say we're okay, nobody died today in my watch here, but basically it's not great. So talking to people in different companies during lockdown and subsequently, people are saying, I'm actually not okay. And I've had to say to my staff, I'm also not okay. I actually don't know what to do next. It's the first time in 26 years where I've had to sit there and go, I'm actually usually so sure, and for once, everything's not okay. And speaking to people, what are they feeling? I've gone into 8 people and asked everyone, give me one word. And the words that come back are numb, confused, exhausted, weary, shattered, guilty. I don't know what one word would describe you, but it's quite heavy times. And you know what? Why is it okay? It's because everything around us is abnormal. it's traumatic and it's stressful. So I think we need to also give ourselves some grace and say it's actually okay. But the problem isn't the lockdown. The problem is the people we were leading up to lockdown. We were driving ourselves harder than we would drive anybody else. If you were an animal and somebody treated you like you treated you, they would have been reported to the animal authorities for cruelty. How many times do we expect ourselves to keep going and work harder, more? And the way we speak to ourselves, we would never speak to our best friend like that. So I think a lot of us were in this space. For me, I had an addiction to work, a busy addiction. And you know what happens? Society applauds us. Society says, you're amazing. Look at you. Let's give you another award. It's kind of like, I think I was the poster girl for a really bad social experiment on how much can one person do. And the funny thing is, it's amazing what capacity we have. But for a few years, I've been saying, I have to change. Something's got to stop. And guess what? The world gave me what I needed, not what I wanted. And I think if we can look at it from that perspective, I really believe it has been 20 plenty. So what has it been plenty of for you? So if I look in my own life, I actually came to London last year to run the marathon, and I was really unfit, and I'm surprised I managed to run it. I ran it for charity, but I ran more probably in 3 months than I've done in the last 3 years. I got fit, I got into shape. I started looking after my body. We live in these temples, yet we just abuse them every single day. And these are machines. Over the next few months, few weeks, however long you've got, whether you're on furlough, whether your business is shut for a while, or whether you're trying to work from home, maybe you could do Project Me. So many of us have been trying to pour out our goodness onto the world. And I don't know what you're seeing around you, but I have a theory that hurt people hurt people. Right now on social media, so many people are saying ugly things and they're taking offense and they're sensitive, and that's because they are hurt. But there's another thing. They're trying to give what they don't have. They're trying to be compassionate. They're trying to cope and deal, but their cup is empty. So my thing is, if I could encourage each one of you, what if you spent from tonight and you started saying, I need to fill my cup. I'm going to start creating a plan, Project Me. I'm going to fill my cup. I'm going to fill it till it's overflowing so that I actually have reserves. Not that I'm skating like on empty and running around with the bare dregs of energy and capacity, but actually fill it up. And then I'm going to have goodness pouring out of me. So a question I want to ask each one of you is, what do I want to say about myself at the end of December 2020 that I can't say today? Can I say I feel refreshed? Can I say that I found my purpose? Can I say that I really, really enjoyed it? Now, some of you are saying, you don't understand. I live in a house this big and I'm walking around 4 steps and then I'm back here. Okay, then we need to make a plan. How do I do it? What can I do? How can I be creative? What are the positives in the situation and what are the opportunities? And out of every crisis comes opportunity. So for me, I mean, I was in a state where I was just sitting there. I was on so many committees. One thing I realized about myself is I don't know when to quit. There's a season for everything, yet I was a lifer. I was doing life for everything. In the lockdown, and I have massive FOMO. I want to do everything. I literally will go to the opening of an envelope, and I was sitting there in the lockdown and my husband would say to me every day, you were in your office for 6 hours, but your business is closed. And I said, yeah, but I'm doing this for my charity, this for the school committee, this for this business committee, this. And I started thinking, but that's been my whole life. One day when I'm not busy, I'll live my real life. One day when I'm not, fill in the blank, fill in your blank, I will. And I actually sat down there and I thought, I'm going to be rebellious. And I literally got rid of everything. I know, maybe don't try this one at home, but I sat down and I started looking at things. I almost picked them. So imagine that you had this suitcase at 18 and now whatever age you are, I'm sure you're all young and youthful. You look at your suitcase, look at each content, inspect it and say, do I like it? Is this good? Is this good for me? Is this my best? Is this me living my best life? If keeping this in the suitcase is going to take me to where I want to be, then I'll keep it. If not, if I think it's keeping me in the middle, I'm going to throw it out. So I did a lot of spring cleaning of my obligations, of my thought patterns. Why do I feel like this? So many of us, if I'm not busy, I'm not worthy. Maybe we need to work on our self-esteem. Maybe I need to just have this full tank and just be a really awesome human. Maybe that's my purpose for the next few months. Maybe it's to look after myself like my own best friend. So those are things that I've been trying to work on. And you know what? It's amazing when you say no, it becomes addictive. I've just started saying no to everything, and I've absolutely loved it. And for me, one thing that I found, and I don't know if any of you on this call have ever experienced it, but I used to look at my diary for the week ahead, and I had this consuming anxiety. How am I going to get through each day? And my strategy for time management was prayer. I would pray for cancellations in my diary, and I really don't recommend it as a sustainable time management technique. But some of us, that's what we do. We have no margin. We're living at a pace where we're actually not smelling the roses. And then lockdown happened. And I don't know about you, but I want to talk to you about my 2020 time to sit every morning. You know what I used to do? I'm ashamed to say this. I would wake up, the alarm would go, and I'd be like Usain Bolt. I'd jump out of bed and I'd think, I've got so much to do today. During lockdown, and just before this, I made a few changes. I started changing that to saying the one thing: what is my purpose today? What will make today great? If only this one thing happens, then today's great. Because we're always busy. We'll never be out of work. We've always got stuff to do. And some of you might feel, I actually don't have anything to do. It's not about having a lot or a little. It's about my purpose. What is the one thing that if I do it, this is awesome? There's a concept called Ikigai. If any of you are feeling like, I'm not sure what my purpose is, I just want to share this with you, because this has been quite powerful for people I've coached, and even sometimes to remind myself of my purpose. When we're thinking, what should I do? Or what's my new business? Maybe my business is folding and it's time for create something new. I need to add value to the world. The first thing is, what am I good at? What is my skill and talent? So I do this so well. I think, why doesn't everybody else do this so well? The second thing is, what do I love doing? When I do it, the time flies and I'm in flow. The third thing is, what does the world need? What does the world need? We only make money by solving a problem that the world has. And then the fourth thing is, the world needs to be prepared to pay. I've sometimes gone to the little flea market stalls, and you'll see people, they've crocheted beautiful, beautiful toilet roll holders. Let's just use that, from the 1970s. And they're beautiful. The person loves it. The person loves making them. They're good at it. But there's a problem. The world doesn't want it, and the world's not prepared to pay. So I think we've got to work out, how do we find all those things together? So during lockdown, I sat and looked at all these things, and I thought, you know what? Every day, I want to do more of the stuff that matters. And I've got a little thing there: follow your heart, follow your heart. Every day, do the things that you know you were born to do. Now's the time to do the work. So many of us aren't doing the work. We haven't worked out our blind spots. We haven't sat and said, what is my genius? What's my X factor? What's my one thing? Maybe over the next 6-7 weeks, we can ask people who know us. Maybe do some self-assessment techniques online and say, who am I? Because for the rest of my life, I want to operate in that space of flow. And they reckon if you spend 25% or more of your day doing things you don't like, you won't have job satisfaction. So we really need to focus on that. And then for me, in my charity, we started a soup kitchen. Tomorrow is the last day. And we're having, as South Africans say, a chop and dop. We're going to chop the vegetables, and then everyone's going to dop afterwards or have a drink. And we've been hosting this for 4 months. And I've seen lives change. It's been called chicken stew for the soul. What we found is that everyone's there, masked, sanitized, temperatures taken, in an outdoor area, but people are coming there. Some people have said, this is the best fun I've had in 4 months. They say, you need to get out more. But the thing is, it's fun because it's not fun. It's making a difference to other people. And having run a charity, it's called the Robin Hood Foundation. Having this as my mission for the last 16 years has been incredibly exciting and joyful. So if anyone's sitting here thinking, I'm feeling depressed, my question to you is, how are you serving? If you are serving the world, it's very, very hard to be depressed at the same time. Okay, and then another thing I do in the morning. So the first thing is purpose. The next thing is kindness. I have a kindness journal. Now you might say, oh, this is crazy. I'm in my little house. What can I do? I can't be kind. I don't see anyone. So the kindness journal is, what did I do? Not what did my business do? What did my charity do? But what did I as a human do to add value to the world? Because one of our biggest needs is that our life matters. You know, do I matter? Am I purposeful? And I want to just share with you a quote from which I've got in my book. I wrote a book called How to Be Unstoppable a few years ago. And that really inspired me when I was doing the London Marathon. I really wanted to stop. And I thought, you can't be a wally, you know, trying to run the London Marathon and then stopping when you write a book called Unstoppable. But, you know, I think, you know, if I look at going back to the kindness journal, what have I done to be kind? What have I done? So, you know, it's little things like, it could be a 5-minute favor. You might, most of us would be on social media. You might have a friend whose business is struggling. Share their post, put a testimonial on, connect with them. A phone call a day. During the lockdown, one of my best friends is single, and for 5 weeks, just to connect with her. But talking about this quote, it says, "This is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. Instead of being a selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy." How crazy is that? A selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world is not devoting itself to make you happy. If any of those words are resonating, there's the secret. So what about finding that purpose? What were you born to do? What have you not done because you've been so busy accumulating, being so busy earning, being so busy receiving? Maybe now's the season not to just receive, but to give. So during the lockdown, every day I've gone out and said, what can I do? I work from my office sometimes. I go into my charity soup kitchen, but every day there is an opportunity. And sometimes it's just a smile. Sometimes it's just a message, a word of encouragement. You think you're battling. There's somebody else who is wishing for your troubles. Somebody is literally praying for what you actually don't want right now. So perspective is an amazing thing. How can you get perspective? Serve somebody else. Find somebody who needs what you've got to give. And every one of us has something to give. So I think that's really, really important. Ask yourself, what will make today great? So you're doing your purpose, you're doing your kindness journal. The next thing is your gratitude journal. What 3 things am I grateful for today that I wasn't grateful for yesterday? We all know this. This is basic stuff. But so many of us don't have the discipline. The first hour of the day should be our hour, not the world's hour. So many people I know, none of us would do this. We're much better than this. But so many people wake up and they go straight to the TV, straight to social media, or even onto emails. They allow other people's urgency onto their agenda. What about saying, no, I'm going to start as I mean to continue. I'm going to live the day as I want to be. So I'm going to be focused on filling my tank. Remember, our tank is like this little glass here, but every day it gets drained and we start a new day. But often we start and it's empty. So how do I do it? The gratitude. How can I be depressed? How can I be jealous? How can I be angry when I'm trying to be grateful? So gratitude expands what you've got. So, you know, the other day I woke up and there was this beautiful bird of prey right outside my window. And I thought, oh my gosh, who gets to see this? You know, wow, how awesome. And you know what you do? When you focus on things like that, you start seeing them. And being kind, you start seeing opportunities. And I know somebody might say, I'm supposed to be kind. Kindness isn't about giving material things. It's often about support. You know, and there's a business motto. There's a motto I've had in my whole life, and it says, give people more than they have any right to expect. What if you did a project kindness from now until the end of the year and you documented it? So there was this really cool book called 29 Gifts written by a lady, Cammie Walker. And it's a story of her life. She basically had multiple sclerosis and she was in pain. She was depressed. She was lonely. So she went to a medicine woman and said to her, okay, I'm going to ask you to do a task and come back in 29 days. She wasn't happy. She said, no, I want drugs. I want medication. The lady said, I want you to do a kindness every single day to another human. Record it. When you come back, let's see how you feel. So she'd walked in there all stiff and sore and down. Anyway, 29 days later, she bounced in there and said, I'm feeling fantastic. I don't know what, it's working. And the lady said, you know why? You're not focusing on yourself. And this is the danger we're all facing right now. We're spending so much time worrying, angsting, and navel gazing. The minute we start focusing externally, that's what our lives are meant for. They're not meant to be sitting there grumbling and groaning. And I think this lady, what she did is she was very poor, and she said she didn't know what to do. She didn't have money, but she made a meal. She phoned somebody in need. She gave somebody a pot plant. She even gave somebody one of her bras. The person needed upliftment, obviously, but she wanted to support her, I'm sure. But the thing is, that's what life's about, and I think so many of us are focusing on all those negative things. Anyways, I know there's many South Africans on this call, and in South Africa, we've been plagued by load shedding, but, from Eskom. However, I think each one of us has been doing our fair share of it every single day. We're giving up our power. How are we doing this? By the words we use, I'll give you some examples. A lot of people are using definite statements, things like, and none of us would do this, but like, the year is ruined, the year is over, worst year of my life. Well, the year's not even over. How can you declare that? What if you intentionally said, for the next 40 odd days, 50 days, I'm going to turn this year around. Every day, I'm going to be more positive than ever before. I'm going to be kinder. I'm going to develop myself. I'm going to get fitter. I'm going to be the best emotional state of my life. I'm going to be in the best physical space. I'm going to be the kindest human I know. I'm going to fill this cup to overflowing so that I can give out. Imagine how you'd feel if that happened. Wouldn't that be awesome? But a lot of people are saying things like, my business will never recover. And you know what? There's no point starting a business. Nobody's got money. Where did it go? Nobody's got money. Your business will never recover. And even in South Africa, a lot of people have realized in March and April and May, they were saying these definite statements. Now they're almost embarrassed to go, oh, my business is actually doing quite well. This is just a season. It is not forever. It is going to change. But just be careful of also saying things like, this too shall pass. It sounds so stoical. But the point is, if you want to have your power, this shall pass almost implies that we're waiting for a bus to pass. We must pass. We've got to do things. We've got to do the stuff. So, if I'm sitting here and I know I'm going to be locked down, or my business has got there's nothing that I can do in my business for the next 7 weeks. What can I do? How do I make the best of this time? Can I learn a new skill? Can I build relationships? More than 70% of our happiness comes from relationships. If I want to be instantly happier, why don't I just invest in relationships? Who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to connect with? Who do I need to send a little letter to or card to? I don't know if the post system works, but you know what I'm saying, or an email to, or flowers, things that people are saying as well. These words that we lose our power, like when things go back to normal, they're never going back, and they're never going back to what they were. There's a new normal. And I know we don't like those words, but have we adapted? Have we adjusted? How have we actually changed the way we're approaching life? What have you learned in the last 6 months? What happens if another virus comes next year? How are you going to be prepared? For that, so many of us say, oh, I'm adaptable, I'm flexible, I'm dynamic. And actually what many of us have learned is actually we're not very good at any of those things. We actually love comfort. We crave comfort. So I think it's really, really important. So things are not going back, they're going forward, and it's new normal. We've got to adapt and change. There's a strategist, Tony Manning, and he had a saying. He said, if the rate of change outside of your organization is greater than the rate of change inside, then you're doomed for extinction. So you've got to be changing your life, your business, your habits, your approach. Otherwise, you're not going to grow. You're not going to make it. So I think those are important things as well. And then also this, in the good old days, in February. But, I think we also have to stop living in the past. We've got to create the good new days. It's up to us. But if everyone's walking around singing the same song, what if we suddenly said, you know what? This is going to be a different Christmas. It's not going to be about the materialism and the consumption and the greed. And it's going to be about meaning. It's going to be about how can I make an impact on that person? What does that person need? Sometimes what people need is not material, it's emotional support, it's friendship, it's connection. So be careful of the words you used. I think that's really, really important. And I think also another thing, so many people are sitting there and seeing the economy, or they're focusing on the States, or they're focusing on what's going on in India, or wherever it is. I always say to my staff and to people I coach, focus on your sphere of control. So what can I do in my recruitment agency? What can you do in your business? You need to connect with your clients, go back to them. So many people are so busy being isolated that they've disconnected. So how can I connect? What are the ways? There are so many ways. And so many people say, my clients don't want to hear from me. That's such a cop-out. Of course they do. What if somebody phoned you and said, hello, how are you? I've been thinking about you and I was just worrying about you. How are you doing? How can I help you? Or I was thinking about you and I had an idea for your business. Or I was thinking about you and I was just thinking I'd love to fill in the blank. So there's so many ways in which we can connect with other people in a more real way. So I think we're going into a season of vulnerability, a season of authenticity, a season where people are actually more real about who they are, about what's going on. And I think many of us have experienced people dying, suicides, depression, lots and lots of these things, which have actually made us realize what's the most important thing. So from my point of view, I think there are so many opportunities in this COVID world. I see it as coming out of this. I think what we're going to see is, if you remember to history, I wasn't very good at history, but there was the Middle Ages and then there was the Renaissance. And I think out of this winter of discontent is going to come a renaissance. I've seen already in South Africa so many people building creative businesses, starting new things, starting these small little organic businesses. People who've said, you know what? I've even had people saying to me, I hate to say this, I'm supposed to be depressed that I've lost my job, but I hated that old job. I wanted to leave anyway. Now I've got to bluff that I'm depressed. And I've also met people who've said, you know what? I was living the same year. You know what? I wanted to always do something new, and now it's given me an opportunity. So what is that hobby you can turn into a business? What is that thing that fills your cup? Were you really living your best life until COVID? Were you really? Because I don't know how many people were. And then another thing I just want to encourage you to do is, you've got to get over your fear of tech. We've got to, if your business is not online, if you've got a product or service, it's got to go online. And I think now's the time to be humble and to ask somebody who's under 25 to help you. And, the day before lockdown started, I got a friend to teach me Zoom, and she taught me Loom, and she taught me a sales navigator on LinkedIn. And her little strategy is, why there's no doom and gloom when there's Loom and Zoom, And I think it's so important for us to adapt. And you know what some people are doing? None of us would do this, but so many people are also giving up their power by saying, in the new year, so I'm not going to do anything now. The year's over, they've written off the year. We've had so much of the year wasted already. Why write off more? And also a lot of people, what they're doing is they believe that by the turning of the clock, there's going to be some kind of dramatic improvement. If there's going to be a dramatic improvement, it's based on what we do. And if you own a business, the results you get are based on the marketing you did 3 months ago. If 3 months ago you were sitting there not marketing, guess what you're going to get now? So now's the time. How can I connect with my clients? How can I market? How can I position myself? So during this lockdown, since March, I've worked out the other day that I've done more than 80 speeches. I've connected with more people. For me, the opportunities are endless. I've now realized I can be an international speaker. I spoke at a Swiss school, summer school, where it wasn't in Switzerland. I was based in Durban. The children were in Kazakhstan, Israel, France, and Germany, and other places. Nobody went to Switzerland, and we hosted a 2-week summer camp. I've spoken to people around the world and around my country. What can you do? Now, if somebody says, oh, I don't know how Zoom works, that is lame. We've got to get over it. Find somebody to help you. But we should be doing education marketing. Everybody on this call is an expert on their subject. Everybody on this call can do something where they can speak on for an hour. I reckon each one of you has got 10 subject topics you can talk on. You don't have to be the best speaker. You just have to show you care. Connect with people, education marketing, and remember with them, what's in it for me? So if I said to you, today I'm going to speak about my favorite hobby, which is mosaicing towels, I mean, it's really not, and it's not yours, you wouldn't be on this call. So if you're asking clients to connect with you, or the public, or trying to grow your network, add value to them. So it's give and take, not take and give. You ever wondered why it wasn't take and give? It's give and take. That's saying you give first and then you take. And so many people, their businesses are where they're meant to be. They're getting what they deserve because their focus in business has been selfish. They don't give enough value. How much can you give away and still make a tiny profit? Instead of how little can we give away and make the most profit? What if you change your business model? What if it needs to change? And I've seen it. I was at a restaurant the other night and I laughed. The owner is normally quite egotistical and doesn't seem to like people much, but we love the food. And he's normally dismissive. You'll walk and he'll greet you. And we went there and he fell over us. He was literally like showing us the specials and offering us free drinks. And I thought it's amazing what COVID has done. He's had to up his game. So I think that's what we need to ask ourselves. This is an opportunity for us to grow and up our game. And what if you said, I'm a little glass here, but what if I turned this into a massive vase? What if I built my capacity? How do I grow myself? And then I just want to share with you something that I read the other day. Oprah, she says, when sometimes people come up to her and they say to her, you are so full of yourself. And she goes, yes, I am. She says, that's my goal, to be so full of myself, to look after myself, practice self-care, and fill my tank so much that I'm overflowing, that I can give to other people. Because remember, if I'm not okay, then you're not okay. Isn't that true? So for me, I think it's been an interesting time. It's been a time where every day, as I said, I'm focusing on purpose, the kindness, focusing on the gratitude. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is goals. Every year I set measurable goals for every single area of my life. And as lockdown hit, I actually felt this pang of regret because I had all these massive travel goals. I had all these social goals. And so those pages I flick over, I'm like, oh, nothing's happening there. The thing is, there's still things we can do. And you know what I would encourage you is to try and do, if you can't do long-term goals, what about short-term goals? What about a goal for what can I say about myself at the end of November that I can't say today? Maybe I've been too stuck on the couch. Maybe I've been a bit down. Maybe I've been mean. What can I do? Maybe I need to mend a relationship. Maybe I need to connect. And Malcolm Gladwell says that each one of us has 12 humans in our life. If they were to die, we'd be gutted. Have you done your list? Who are your 12 humans? Some of us might have 5, some of us might have 20. But, a lot of people have been so focused on things that they forgot about focusing on people. And how are you with yourself? And then, this is the perfect opportunity to learn, develop, and grow. I've seen so many people being offered opportunities to study for free. My daughter did a little Shakespeare course through Harvard for free. And she said, I'm studying through Harvard, And I thought, isn't this cool? These are opportunities. Another thing, and I know I'm speaking for the chamber again in the future, hopefully if you'll have me back, but, working on building your brand. This is the perfect time to build your brand. Get on a platform that you aren't on yet. You know how many people say to me, yeah, LinkedIn, I don't really know it. Well, learn it. It'll take you an hour. If you can solve a problem with an hour of effort, it's worth learning. In the lockdown, I'd never been on Instagram. And I thought, well, let me get with it, So what do you need to do to get with it? Build your brand. How can you build relationships? With a great brand, with a massive network and great relationships, you're going to be unstoppable. So maybe now's the time to do the back end work on your business and yourself. And what is it about your brand? Have you worked out your top 5 values? Because your values are the rudder on which your ship is sort of sailing. And some of us, we might feel like our goals have changed, but our values should always be the same. Have you done a check? Are these still the same values? And then when we look at goals, what has 2021 got in store for you? Well, it's going to be pretty much as good as you expect it to be. So, we need to work on our mindset. Our mindset is going to get us there. And so many of us have given into this pervasive negativity about, oh, it's the year that's done me wrong. It's, as if it came out after you intentionally, it's a personal persecution, none of us would say that. But, and I really think that, if 2021 is going to be awesome, it's because I'm gonna make sure that I'm the architect of my fate. You know, and I love that quote by Winston Churchill. He said, history will be kind to me because I intend to write it. I mean, that's owning your power. So I want to just sort of encourage people, I'm just monitoring the time here, but just to say you actually do have the power to turn your perspective of the year from, you know, sort of, oh, this is dreadful. And yes, I understand there's loneliness, it's genuine. There's fear, it's genuine. There's grief, it's genuine. You know, but you know, we also have, we are resilient as humans, and we've got to own that, you know, and we've got to say, well, let's test. And resilience is a muscle. We have to work it. We have to, you know, pump it up, you know, and I really think that so many people have not done the work. I was at a seminar last year where I was speaking alongside a wonderful speaker, and she asked everyone, how many of you want to be millionaires? Now in South Africa, it's not really worth much, but so everyone, it was a group of estate agents, everyone put their hands up. Yes, we want to be millionaires. And their next question was, how many of you are prepared to spend R1 million in your own development? There was a silence. Herself, the speaker, and myself, we both put up our hands because we both have invested more than R1 million in our development. So sometimes, you know, we are where we are and we haven't done the work. So maybe now is the time to look at our foundations. You know, is my studying relevant? Is my knowledge up to date? Am I relatable? Am I adding value? You know, and you know, I think it is about relevance right now. And am I giving enough value? How can I double my value? How can I be the kindest person I know? How do I build my brand? And I love the saying, live in such a way that if anyone spoke badly of you, nobody would believe them. Isn't that a cool way to live? Imagine having that as your project, you know, and we can reinvent ourselves. We can redesign our lives. And I know some of you think I'm smoking something, you know, but I really, this is my reality. And you know, that's the thing. We create our own reality. And some people are living in a reality where it's all about the news, headlines. The good headlines don't sell. It's about COVID tracker numbers. It's about negativity. It's about grumbling and moaning. Maybe do an audit on yourself from this time today till tomorrow night. How much of your time is spent in a negative space versus a positive space? How much of your time is spent making a difference to other people versus wondering why the world's not devoting itself to make you happy? So I just want to end off just to say that your mindset is everything. And that's what you control. You can't control COVID out there. You can't control the numbers. You can't control government decisions. But this is either your best friend or your worst enemy. And it is my belief that many people haven't actually exercised it properly. They haven't actually gone, you know what, I am stronger than I think. I'm far more powerful. And I'm going to own my words. I'm going to own my thoughts. I'm going to own my daily habits. And remember your daily habits. Why have I harped on that? Your day is your life in miniature. How you spend today is how you spent yesterday and how you spend tomorrow. Your thoughts, 90% of the same thoughts are what you felt or what you thought yesterday. And if you don't like where you are, if you can change your habits and you can change your thoughts, you're going to be unstoppable. So thank you for listening, and I'll hand over. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Cindy. I mean, I've written notes, copious notes. At the end, just before I hand over to Charlotte, I'm going to ask you just to re-quote from your book again, please. But we'll do that as the last thing before we close off so that we can capture that again. Other comments, people want to know how the hell you are 50. I have to say, I second that one. And decided that obviously the elixir works, and therefore, if we're going to take your medicine, maybe we'll look the same as you. One of the questions that's come forward is, if you don't know your purpose yet, what are the first steps we should take? You talked about hobbies, you talked about positivity, you talked about the correct words, you talked about looking after yourself, being kind to others. That's not quite yet purpose.
Yes.
So how do we get to our purpose? A very, very quick flowchart.
So I think it's sometimes a little bit of a journey, but I think it combines a few things. I often ask people, what did you want to be when you were 7 years old? A lot of people what did you do when you were young that made the time fly, that you thought one day when I'm big, not one day when if I get a good mark for maths, or if I do this or I do that. So I think purpose is kind of like, I don't think everyone always finds their purpose. And I think maybe that's also okay. But I think it's to have a purposeful life, if that makes sense. So it might be lots of little bits of purpose. So it might be today I was a great human, today I was kind, I was, I think that whole thing of living with integrity and being ethical and just living your best life, so today I didn't let myself down. And I love this one quote. You can hear I collect quotes in my head all the time. One's sense of integrity grows with the ability to say no to oneself. So many of us don't know how to say no to ourselves. We don't ever say no to ourselves, and we lack the discipline, and therefore we don't actually live the best life we can. So for me, purpose is never about what you get. Purpose is always about what your gift is to the world. So what is it with a gift? You have to give it. So the question is, what are you giving and how are you giving? So it would be acts of service. So I would say to people, try things, try different things, try different ways in which you can make a difference to the world. And you might find that something resonates with you, where you go, oh my gosh, I love this when I do it. So you're in your purpose when you get feedback from other people that what you're doing is making such a difference. And also when you're doing it, you feel that you're in flow and you feel that this is connected with your highest values. Does that make sense? But it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress.
It is a journey of life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I know we'd like to just, have a Smartie and then go, oh yes, I've got it. Yeah.
I'm working with an organization at the moment, and many of the people have gone from banking and so the rough and tough, sharp end of business,
yes,
and are now working in, I wouldn't call it giving back, but it is working in environments where the purpose of the organization has the community, the environment, the well-being of the humans at it. It's not a charity, it's actually a business that does some amazingly difficult things to make people's lives a better place. And you speak to everyone there in that organization, and their view is, I did it because it was a chapter I'd reached in my life where the bottom line profit in ABC industry I was in wasn't actually what was making me feel okay. What was making me feel okay is what I'm doing now, is I'm making a difference to human beings. The bottom line is critical. It has a purpose, but the first purpose is something different. And the other aspect of their purpose is you're looking after all the stakeholders. You don't often hear businesses saying it. Investors talk about it, but you don't get it in quite that way. So it's so lovely to see how many people, maybe it's because I'm getting older as well, that I'm coming across people at this sort of age, and they're saying that their purpose is now so important to them. And in some respects, it's more important than money. And yes, that might be as a function of, I've got more than I had at an earlier stage, but you have to learn. It's a journey. So I do see that. One of the things that I was thinking of when you were talking of the Christmas tree. In South Africa, the Christmas tree is very secondary to Christmas. It's the braai, it's the outdoors, it's the time off, it's the leftovers the next day, it's the sport, it's the sunshine. It's very different to here in the UK. And I was chatting to a New Zealand friend of mine here. He says, I just don't get this Christmas thing here in this country. And we debated it and we worked it out. It's dark at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Light we might find by 9 o'clock the next day. And this is the light that people bring into their homes, and they focus a purpose on something beautiful that lasts for a good period of time. And I look at what's coming between now and Christmas and what we can do to light up our lives and inside ourselves by just going and making things and putting them on the tree. Get a branch off a tree outside, or from the neighbor's tree, if that's okay. Wherever you can find your thing, is just do something physical. Because I think sometimes that also helps when people can just do something with their hands. And I have learned a new value and journey in the Christmas tree and the Christmas process. And that, I think, is just part of it, is the focus on it and putting the energy into it. So along the lines of what you've been talking about. So have a look at the other ones. Busy robs moments of joy. And some of the other connections that you made definitely resonates. She was this is a friend of mine talking about saying she attended a talk by Bear Grylls, which I think a few people have
Yes.
we all know about, the busyness aspect. And if I look at my life, and I look at a lot of my colleagues, my age younger, are very busy being busy. And I think some of the things that you said about saying no is actually a very powerful thing we need to get to. Another one that we've got here, choice to love or destroy, help or hustle, build up or rip off. Quite an interesting set of juxtapositions. You were talking earlier about us all having a purpose in the morning when you get up and not to be distracted. My purpose at the moment has always been, not at the moment, is to know at the end of the day I've delivered service to somebody and they're in a better place than they were when they started their day. My purpose hasn't changed. It's been the same all my life. I would challenge all 42 of you still left on there to actually define what that good feeling is that makes you want to wake up in the morning and to look after yourselves. I don't know if there's any other, as a result of just reading through the questions, Cindy, if there's any sort of responses, because quite a lot of them are statements rather than questions.
Yes, yeah.
At this point in time, because I don't want to ask all the questions. I want to see if there's something there you'd like to respond to from the floor.
I think the one thing I think I'd like to mention is just that word motivation. You know, a lot of people are feeling demotivated. They're saying, I'm not motivated because, you know, and you know, a lot of people say, I want to hear a motivational speaker so that I can feel motivated. You know, that we try and outsource it. But just to debunk that myth, motivation doesn't come from a fuzzy feeling or from listening to someone. What it does, it comes from having an action plan. There's a quote, action is the antidote to despair. So many people, what happens, they reach a point where they're in a little bit of a valley and nothing's happening. There's no momentum. I mean, we lost our pipeline in our business and we had to start from scratch. That was the hardest part, at getting something going. But why I asked you to take out pen and paper is that some of you might have actually put little points down there. And you know what happens is from there, you develop a to-do list. Suddenly you've got a list of new things to do. And it's not about being busy, but new things that maybe you've never done, things that maybe are inspiring, unique, and different. So I think motivation comes from the word like locomotive, which means to move in a direction. So if I could ever say to anyone, if you're feeling down and despairing in your business, especially, is start brainstorming and going, what should I do differently? Take an aerial view of your business and say, what would Branson do with this business? And who's your hero? You know, and Warren Buffett, he's got this lovely saying. He says, tell me who your heroes are and I'll tell you how you'll turn out in life. What would your hero do with your life? You know, what would they do? And here's a saying, I only heard it, this is gripping. Sure, it says, hell is your last day on earth when you meet the person that you should have become. And it's quite hectic because, you know, so many of us are not living our best lives because we are comfortable. We're in a rut. We're fearful. What will they say? Imagine what they would say if I tried to fill in the blanks. And so many of us are defined by excuses. We're defined by limitations. If I said to you, I don't have enough, you fill in the blank. Most people say money, time, energy, support, confidence. So what is your limiting belief, you know? And then I think
do something about it.
Yeah, do something. And then maybe the last point, if you're a business owner or manager, your job is to serve the people who serve the people. That is your job. And every day ask people, how can I help you win? How can I help you? What do you need from me? I'm here to serve. And then, you know, I think with staff as well, you know, a lot of staff have actually put targets on their backs, I dare say. We you know, during this difficult time, they haven't been grateful for the job that they have or the money that they are getting. They haven't ever said thank you. They haven't volunteered. They haven't said, what can I do? They haven't supported. They haven't gone out of the, and I'm not saying people on this call have done that, but I've seen so many companies where the entrepreneur has gone through hell, the worst year of their lives, literally, and the staff are sitting there going, I can't believe you're not getting 100% salary, but they're not doing any work and they're not adding any value. So I think the thing is, if anyone on this call is an employee, it's not your boss's job to motivate you. That is your job. And then to ask yourself, you know what kind of company would it be if everyone in the company was just like me? Am I adding value? Am I in the top 10%? Am I literally indispensable? And that's what our mission should be. How do I make myself indispensable? How do I keep in regular contact with my boss? Not when they phone, I'm like, what do you want? So keep
what do they want?
But yeah, I think just also be there as a support. How are you doing? Thank you for my pay. Thank you for whatever or how are you? If I were you, I would be stressed. And is there anything I can do for you? Sometimes there's this us versus them mentality in the workplace, but we literally are all in this together. So I think I've seen business owners who've just literally been upset by people's lack of gratitude or lack of concern for them. So I think I just want to say bosses need love too, if somebody isn't a boss.
They need stroking.
And
one of the things we talk about in the modern world today is agility and resilience. Agile, able to move, change decisions, all the things that you've been talking about in many ways. And resilience is about built over years of doing agile things and working out how you can cope with left and right punches from every side. How does that desire for us to be agile and resilient correlate to what you talk about in your studies? Is there some commonality there, or is it a different field of science?
So what I talk about in mine?
Yeah, when in your motivational speech, you don't use the words agility and resilience, which is something you talk more about purpose, kindness.
No, I really believe that resilience is an absolute key, and I love the word grit. That sort of like real hardcore, hang in there no matter what. And I think life is a marathon more than a sprint, and we have to hang in there. It's not just one quick thing and it's over. And often it's a series of sprints with little breaks in between. So resilience is so important. It's about no matter what life throws at you, it's knowing that you can get up for one more round, and even if it's self-tricking little mind plays, like I just have to get through to December. And then December comes and okay, I'll get through to end of January. Our minds can literally do anything we tell our minds to if we can if we can get them right. So resilience is amazing, and not being sensitive, not taking offense, managing our own EQ as part of that as well. Just understanding that this is not personal, and that that we've just got a leopard crawl through razor wire for a couple more months, and we actually do have it in us. And it's funny because the mind is so much stronger. The body might give up, but the mind still can go. The body will go a lot further if the mind is saying you can do it. So I think that is my message, is that we've got to develop resilience. We can do it.
Yeah, we can. One last question, and then I'm going to hand over to Charlotte when you're finished, because we are out of time. We're over time already. Do you ever put into your diary a period of time for nothing? And what would you do with that nothing time?
So with nothing time, I do a few things. Exercise, I think it's so important. You mentioned just doing something with your hands. We've got to get up. Sitting is the new smoking. People are sitting way too much, and it's really, really not good for us. So I do a lot of exercising, running, and on the weekend, long afternoon naps, long naps. Like nobody phones me on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon ever. And reading, there's a lot of things I do, going for treatment. And my favorite is like walking on the beachfront with a friend, on an early morning, seeing the sunrise. And that's like one of my favorite things. Sometimes it's just an hour or two, and that's my favorite. But, it's little things. And if I could say, if you could create a happiness list, what if you did something every single day that makes you happy? I've done a list. I forgot to mention that. But if you wrote your list, what are the things I love doing that make me happy? Put them all down, and now use your opportunity to do them. So is it a candlelit bath? Is it doing something silly like yoga? Not silly, there's nothing silly about yoga. Or is it reading in your pajamas for a day? Is it having a phone call to 5 people you haven't spoken to for 5 years? Could you be writing a letter to your children for one day when you're not here? Could you write a letter to 10 people who've inspired you? Could you write thank you cards? There's so many things we could do. So the happiness list is it doesn't cost money normally, and it's just stuff that makes us just feel great about ourselves. So, I think we need to become more original, more creative, and I think be intentional. So that resilience is also about that. It's about saying, no matter what is happening outside, I'm actually choosing to create my own climate, my own, remember that was a Crowded House song, wherever you go, you take the weather with you. Well, it doesn't matter what the weather's doing, because the weather in here, in my little place, is awesome, and I think that's an important thing there for people to understand, that we actually can do that. It takes work, it takes intentionality, and yeah, I think that's so important. And you mentioned agility. I mean, that's a given. We've got to be shifting the whole time, and we've also got to hold our plans loosely. So we might say, our business is going here, and then within a week or two, we might see that everything's changed, and then we've got to steer that ship again. So if ever anyone's being accused of shifting the goalposts right now, it's actually a compliment, because we have to be agile. Yeah.
And also the lovely thing to rest our minds. I love bird watching, and after a really busy time, I used to love going out in the bush. You're so busy looking for something that's that size and it's brown, and you call an LBJ and you get all excited about it. Well, the world's hassles you left at the office on Friday do tend to disappear.
Exactly.
At that, I'm going to hand over to Charlotte.
Thank you.
Cindy, thank you so much. And I absolutely love the idea of making 2020 a year of plenty. And I love your practical guide to sort of gratitude, kindness. It was just absolutely wonderful. Thank you very, very much for speaking to us all. And I just want to let everybody know that if you'd like to know more about Cindy, please do get in touch with her through her website, which is cindynorcott.co.za. And you can read more about her, and also read her absolutely fantastic blog, where you can get more advice on all kinds of different things. And it's really fantastic. I had a look at it this afternoon, so I loved it. And you can also find more about her business coaching. She does one-on-one and group coaching. And you can learn more about her book, How to Be Unstoppable and Achieve More in Life. And so once again, Cindy, thank you. And before you go, can you just give us that quote about the little clod one more time?
It's not mine. I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson who said it. Basically, it goes as follows. It says, "This is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one, instead of being a selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy."
Oh,
it goes on, but that's a bit. Otherwise, I'm trying to remember it in my head. That's why I didn't go the whole thing.
That you remember that much. That was amazing. On top of giving us the most fantastic speech. So, thank you for motivating us all and inspiring us. And we look forward to welcoming you again soon.
Fantastic. Anytime. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
much.
Is
there any other way people can get hold of you? Are you on Instagram or what other?
I am on Instagram, and but I think if I can I leave my email address in case anyone? It's just an easy one.
We'll put it on there. Yeah.
Cindy at powerpoint.co.za, and they're most welcome to email me with pleasure.
We'll update the website with your email address. We'll update the It's different it's your company's name. We'll put it up on the website so people can contact you directly from the website from today's event. So we'll get that put up for you.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining. And Charlotte, thank you very much for co-hosting with me. It was a pleasure. And Cindy, wow, really enjoyed that.
My pleasure.
Good night.
Good night,
Goodbye.
everyone.
And go and enjoy the warmth of Durban.
Thank you.